Hello and welcome to the Charmed Life Podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe. And I am your host, and my name is Tricia Carr. If you are new here, wow, thank you so much. I am honored. I treasure our connection. And you know, it is a real connection to come together, whether you are just listening to someone else move their face like I am right now. All connections are real. Energy is real and alive. And so you are very welcome here and you're very appreciated here. And for those of you who have been here for a while or a few times, well, I appreciate and love you so very much as well. You know, I usually ask if you guys would leave me a review, however it is that you receive your podcast. Sometimes I forget to, but I'm asking that formally now. If you enjoy this content, just scroll down into your app, leave a review. You can leave stars or you can leave stars and a comment, whatever works for you. And to that end, I want to thank the newest review. And this is from Shanna Lee, I think is what it looks like her name is on the podcast app. And I'm just going to read it because I'm not to pat myself on the back, but to say thank you to Shanna. She says, Tricia, I can't thank you enough for all the knowledge and dedication you have shared through this podcast and all your other podcasts, training programs, and so on. I've listened to every single podcast and each one has such a beautiful resonance. Oh, love that word resonance. Shanna, you and I are like eye to eye. To opening me up and realizing what I already knew within myself. Amen. That is right. A teacher, this is me talking now. A teacher doesn't really teach you anything. A teacher holds space for you to remember what it is that you already know in your soul. Maybe the teacher channels some of that universal knowledge, but we already have everything that we need. We have resources that we already need. So she also says, Shanna says, you taught me how. I have learned so much through you and Crystal Compton in other podcasts and trainings. This is by far my favorite podcast. Oh, thank you. Not just my favorite spiritual podcast toward learning all things enlightenment related, but overall best ever. Oh my gosh. Well, I love you so much, Shanna. I thank you so much for that. And you know, if you do leave a review, it just increases our light quotient. It increases the light quotient of this podcast and, of course, our connection to one another. Having gushed about that, I want to talk to you guys about something that is coming through very strongly. And actually, I've worked 1 million hours today, but I couldn't leave the studio without getting this podcast out. You know, and this is... something is coming through from the Archangelic and especially Archangel Haniel at the face of it, but also Archangel Jophiel. If you're not familiar with these archangels, Haniel's name means the grace of God. It means the mercy of God. And Jophiel means the beauty of God. And Jophiel is the great beautification archangel. You see, we are at the... kind of winding down of the Lion's Gate portal, which is an alignment of cosmic energies that open a portal to pour through cosmic, divine, celestial energies for us to bring into our resonance and to then embody a great activation of the universal principle of embodiment. And I just taught a workshop in my Mystic Arts Academy on this. And I probably will share a bit of the channeled information from that exclusive content. So stay tuned for that. And here's the thing. That portal is technically open from, it's like July 22nd. It hits an apex on August 8th. And then at August 12th, that is sort of when things are transitioning then. And it's an alignment of the sun, the earth, and Sirius, if I'm getting that right. I am not an astrologer, but I know it's Sirius that we are in alignment with. And these celestial energies, they are powerful. And in the Mystic Arts Academy, we were learning that it is a time for us to receive and fully embody greater dispensations of those cosmic celestial energies. And then the message that I'm coming to you today is that even though we are at that sort of end of that particular cosmic alignment, that the energies were and are received, and that there is the activation of the universal law of grace. Grace seems like such a passive energy, but in fact, grace is powerful. Grace is the space between the intention and the materialization. And what happens between, in that interim, the grace period between intention and materialization, manifestation, is refinement. And so we have an intention, and we may not really know if the intention is exactly spot on for what it is that we want. We may have really focused and kind of divined into our own energy, but we're still not sure about it. And there is this lag between the intention and that dispatch of that energy and then the materialization of it. And that is grace. And it is here for us, and it is active 100% of the time. And the reason it is here for us is, here's the thing, the messages they're telling me is that, when you're struggling about what my intentions are, I don't know what I want, I'm not sure what my desires are, when we're, in that space, some of us tend to be in, they say, don't worry about it. Just choose one that's easy, because the law of grace will help you to refine it. And just the act, the selection, you actually making the selection and choosing the self-loving act of choosing an intention, one that's easy to just put up on that pedestal, put up on that altar and say, this is the one, I think. It's okay if it has a ... an ellipsis, I think, maybe. Just choose it anyway, because you have the law of grace that is there for you to help you to then refine it and fine-tune it before it gets to materialization. So there's one thing that the law of grace is helping us with. The other thing it's helping us with is that it's helping us to stay present, because let's say we have an intention. We are 1,000,000% positive. This is the thing that I choose. And then we go about our business and we're saying, it hasn't happened yet, so I must be broken. They ask us to remember the law of grace, because it is actually that lag that is 100% of the time in process for us. Our job is to continue to stay in our own energy, have faith in ourselves, have faith in the intention, continue to love the intention, which is also a self-loving act. And the law of grace will help us to make it even better, because as we are continually staying in our faith of self, faith of intention, being in the beauty of our own essence, and just kind of relaxing and letting the universe sizzle in its simmering juices of creation, that it gets even better. And that they love to witness us. And the they I'm talking about are the higher energies that are watching us and admiring us, by the way. I'm going to share with you some of the message I got from Archangel Haniel earlier, that as they are observing us, saying how beautiful it is that you might set an intention and then you run off to play like a child who is just enjoying life, just enjoying being, and they direct us to our own beautiful essence. That is how things then just show up for us. We did set the intention, but we just kind of released the resistance, released the faith that it wouldn't happen. That's what it is. Doubt is faith that something won't happen or that you won't get something. So if we can actually just assume that it's a foregone conclusion when we set an intention, and that intention actually is getting refined through the 100% of the time activated law of grace, and then we go about just experiencing our own energy, experiencing the beauty of life, well, then that's how things get easy, because we stay in allowance, we stay in flow, we stay in calm, we stay in peace, we stay in celebration even. Now, so those are the two ways. Let me recap a little bit, and then I'm going to keep going, because we have the way that when we are sort of confused about what intention to select, to put into the process of manifestation, they say just pick anyone. Pick one that's easy. Don't worry about it. We're going to work with you to refine it. The second way is that when you pick something, you're 100% sure about it, is to stay in faith that it shall be manifest. And in the meantime, just be in the beauty. And it's actually our non-presence, this illusion of non-presence that keeps us from accepting grace. The key to grace, the key to the law of grace, the key to grace isn't that sometimes we have it or sometimes we don't. It's that sometimes we receive it and sometimes we don't. That is the key. We must be ready to receive it. It's as if we are losing track of our focus, as we lose faith in our own joy of being. Grace is the revocation of lessons that are in our path to learn because we choose to learn them, because we choose to receive grace instead. So let me tell you what grace can do. What I'm talking about there is that it can release us of karma. Now, just a recap, karma is, sure, people think of it as like, oh, I did something in a past life, and so now I have to repeat the lesson. Kinda, yeah. I mean, but it's about expansion. Karma is a cool thing, man. Karma is like, I'm hiking every single day, and the hills, the uphill, are the best part because they're engaging my body. They're actually engaging my breath. And the breath of life is cleansing, healing, activating. It's everything. And then it's moving my blood, and it's engaging my muscles so they become stronger. And so that's an effort, but it's the good stuff, the uphill. And that's what karma is. Karma is the lessons that make us wiser, stronger. Or as Marianne Williamson said, it's the gravity against, she doesn't say this about karma specifically, but I'm paraphrasing in a couple of ways. She says that mental and emotional challenges are the gravity against which we push to make us stronger, like the yogi pushing against the earth or the weightlifter picking up and putting down weights. It actually makes us stronger. And that's what karma is, our process to be able to expand, to be able to actually grow in this incarnation on our path of light. You may hear my voice is a little tired. I've been recording like crazy today, so I apologize. Now, of course, then there's the karma can exhaust us because sometimes karma is from something I don't even remember, man. And so in the moment, it can be tiring, and in the moment, it's repetitive. And so because it's kind of tucked away in our unconscious. And so grace can open up that unconscious and with the mechanism of surrender to the highest good, say, I am ready to receive grace so that this karma can be spontaneously lifted by the spontaneous expansion. My willingness to learn from it, my willingness to just be in the having learned frequency of it. Grace can remove karma, can dissolve it. And the only key to that is right there in your pocket. And the key is you receiving it. Hey guys, it's Tricia Carr. I have new exciting things going on with my Mystic Arts Academy. You can now subscribe to receive all of the live monthly content for about a third of the investment of a single class. Included are at least one downloadable guided meditation per month, 2 live events ranging from classes, channeled messages, group readings, intuitive development guidance, Q&A sessions, and tons of community. You'll also have access to a private Facebook community for fellowship and support, and this space is kept super sacred and high vibrational. Your subscription gives you access to the whole library of classes and live events, which are on a vast array of topics. All events are offered online by Zoom video call. Subscribing to the Mystic Arts Academy is also a way for you to support the Charmed Life podcast and engage on a deeper level. I'm offering the subscription at a super low rate of $22 a month. Joining now locks in this rate for as long as you're subscribed. Click on the description of this episode or go to my website, triciacarcharm.com, and click on Mystic Arts Academy. I look forward to connecting. I've told this story before, probably a long time ago on this podcast, and I tell it in classes. And there was this one time I was driving. It was my old job, and I had to drive a lot. And I was in my spiritual awakening. I was listening to some spiritual video or podcast, and that's what I used my drive time for. And this person was talking about forgiveness, and that forgiveness sets you free. It doesn't set the other person free. When we're withholding forgiveness, we're actually holding ourselves in a prison. And as what came to mind for me at that time, what I was feeling was my withholding of forgiveness for the person who was an abuser of mine when I was a child. And the abuse was mental, emotional, but it was also physical. And it was sexual. And it was to a child. I mean, it was the child that I was. But there's a lot around that. Like, that's tangled. That's messy. That's hard. That's difficult. And I wanted to forgive this person who's no longer in my life actively. So there wasn't any relationship that I had to resolve. There wasn't like, oh, I have to set boundaries and not have toxicity in my life with this person. That was done. It was only what I was carrying. So it was completely clear that this forgiveness had to do with releasing me, setting me free from the pain. And I was driving in my car and I was like, okay, I want to forgive. And as I brought up the thought of this person and this relationship and this history, I just felt the resonance with all of that horrifying content. And so I pulled over the car because I was so frustrated, and I banged my hands on my steering wheel and I said, I don't know how to forgive. Because I was thinking that forgiveness and forgetting were one and the same. Like, how could I possibly forget what happened? Would I get a lobotomy? Like, it makes no sense. There's no way I'm ever going to forget what happened. So that was my misconception. I thought I had to forget the actual events in order to forgive. But what actually happened, so I said, bang my hands on the steering wheel. I don't know how to forgive, but I'm calling on the angels. And I'm saying, I am willing to forgive. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing. I don't know what that means, and it makes no sense to me. But I just surrender, and I'm willing to forgive because I want to love myself more. I want to free myself from it. And you know what? That was it. I just chose, that was me receiving grace, and I didn't realize it at the time. I was receiving grace, and it was dissolving the karma that had to do with that mess. And the reason I say I didn't realize it was because I think it was like a couple of months had passed, and I thought about that event, and I thought about that person and those events, and I had no more of that feeling. I didn't resonate with the pain anymore. I could recall the events, but they seemed like almost like a movie. You know, sometimes you watch a movie and it like guts you, but then you can recall it later and you just know the story and you're like, I know it's a harsh story, but you're not feeling it anymore. That's what it was like. It was just a story. And I didn't resonate with the difficulty, the pain of it anymore. And so it was a way, I was just able to set myself free. From there, I could then do some higher self work, some soul contract work, and see from those higher perspectives that this person did a karmic duty, like from the higher self perspective, who is not to blame for the atrocities that eventually did unfold, but from that higher self perspective of us making a soul contract for this person to be an abuser and for me to be a victim. And that person from the higher self, from the fuller knowing, said, I'll do that. And I was able to appreciate that. So that was the way I could find a path of forgiveness. Now, does that mean this person is in this 3D world like, oh, no problem, dude? No, that's not what that means. And that's not what spiritual enlightenment is about. Spiritual enlightenment doesn't validate the atrocities of the 3D world. Transcendence isn't about leaving the plane of the 3D world. It's actually being more present with it. At any rate, that is how the law of grace works. So we create karma with our own consciousness. Do you understand this? I'm going to say it again. We create karma with our own consciousness, with our own energy, with this higher self soul kind of energy consciousness. Really, it's the super consciousness I'm repeating it a lot because I want to emphasize it. We create karma with our own consciousness, and so we dissolve it in the same way. We dissolve karma by our own consciousness. And so it is by receiving the law of grace, by receiving grace. And so Haniel is here to offer us grace. And it feels as though a channeled message is coming through. So let me breathe through this so that this can come through live. And the Archangel Haniel stepping forward with the Archangel Jophiel. And as we observe you, we pray that you could see yourselves the way that we see you. For we see you as divine energy centers full of light and color and expectation and dance and beauty and song and light and light and light and light. And how beautiful that you are, and that you don't see how beautiful you are all the time. And even when your eyes are cast aside because they are experiencing shadow and they are experiencing shade and they are experiencing shame, we still see you as the most beautiful of the light creatures of creation. And so blessings upon you. We ask that if you feel the sadness, that we may send this signal to you now to unpack at another time. And we say, we are here and we are seeing you as beautiful, as divine, as good. And we hope that this programming, this implant, if you will, that we are sending to you, depositing into you to be opened at another time, only activated if you choose, only activated if you so accept the grace that is offered you. Because the law of grace is here for you. It is actually created for you. Creation is the gap between Creator's thought and its unfolding. And you are of the most precious of the creations of the universe, for you have elected to move far away, to put on a guise of not remembering, a veil of illusion. And yet it is impossible for you to truly forget. This is why you have the challenge, this dichotomy within you. When you are in the illusion, you have this difficulty, which is called suffering. And it is because you are, for that time, believing in the dark or the shade or the shadow. And it is not accurate, my child. It is not accurate. When you're feeling the difficulty, when you're feeling the pain, the suffering, we say that is inaccurate. But it is also an opportunity. It is inaccurate that that is you. It is inaccurate that that moment will last. And so we just offer that when the shade, when the shadow, when the pain becomes a reality for you, that you can also recognize that there is also a greater reality. So you could be in two spaces at once, for you are, my child, an omnidimensional being. And so we offer to you, as you occupy a space in the shadow, that you can also occupy the space in the light at the same time. This will help you through. For you who would be here listening are being offered the grace to be lifted from the depths of karma, to recognize that the karma that you are experiencing is possibly the karma of someone else, and you are meant to be the guide and the guardian and the helper and the supporter. And so, yes, you walk on the same path with them. And so, yes, you do experience the same path as you walk aside them. But in fact, you are meant to experience it as the elder. And so as some of the channeled information that comes through calls wanderers, calls you guides, guardians, workers of the light, we call you elders. For you are the ones who are the elders on the path. And if you can but hold the light of the crown of the elder, while also being in the depths of the trenches, if you will, on the heaviness of the path with those you were shepherding, then we say it will be a bit lighter for your load, because you will be able to recall with your energy that you are the support, and that, of course, and indeed, you have the support. For the guidance path of one helping, the other helping, the other helping, the other helping is the Christhood path. It is the path, and it is the architecture of creation, and it is an unfolding of beauty upon beauty and grace upon grace. And so once again, we send this image to you, and we send it into your energy so that you may be in more than one place of perception at one time. And we say, feel the grace, my child, my loved one, my precious one, my beautiful one, for you are indeed the grace of creation. Okay. All right, guys. That was the end of that message. I'm kind of making this pretty live. I mean, I'm going to do the little bit of production that I do, but as I'm coming back to this space from that channeled message, just listening to hear if there's anything else. Okay, thank you. So they say that, with this Lionsgate portal that has been shifting, that the offering is that there's this great dispensation of celestial energies that have been received, and that we are asked to be in the embodiment of it, which means taking action of it, which means being present and moving forward with the energies that have been received. And then also know that even though the celestial event has come and gone at a certain point, on August 12th, that in fact the law of grace means that it is always unpacking, that it is always unfolding, and that even though it's not technically open at this time, that the offering is always available. So even whatever energies one did not absorb by the law of grace at the time of that opening, that is always available, because God gives good gifts and gives them unconditionally. And so we actually have, upon the quantum timeline, upon the fluidity of the simultaneity, of the synchrony, we always have access to anything that we could possibly charge up our excitement to receive, magnetize toward us. And deserving isn't even a question, because you are the beauty and the grace of the universe. Okay, guys. Well, with that, I just want to direct you again to leave a review on the podcast if you are drawn to. You'll find a way to do it on however you're getting your podcast, whatever application you're using, if you scroll down. And then I also want to just plug the Energy Intensive, which is coming up very soon. We have two things coming up with Lightshine Academy. We have a 2-weekend, a Reiki 1 and a Reiki 2 taught by Ariel Sterling. Oh my gosh, that's going to be amazing. It's in August. It's in about a week. The first one is in about a week from the time that this is published. And then we have next month, which is September 2021, in case, whenever you're listening to this, we have the Energy Intensive coming again. Amazing, to blast open your own remembered energy modalities, because beyond Reiki, beyond any other kind of energy healing modality that has been organized by people or one person, you have your own. You have your own specific one. So we work in all of the many different techniques of energy healing and energy working, and it's really amazing. So I'll leave you with that. The links are in the description, and you can also go to Lightshine Academy and courses, and you'll find it there. And then, of course, I have my ongoing Mystic Arts Academy 2 workshops every month, and group meditations and downloads. And that's what I have for you today, you guys. I really appreciate you. Thank you for shining your light on this beautiful world, and thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are. The Lightshine Development Circle is a sacred place for spiritual seekers to practice giving and receiving readings. The circle is open to all psychics, oracle card readers, mediums, channels, energy healers, Akashic record readers, and any other type of spiritual practitioner who offers their service via a reading-style format. Strengthen your intuitive abilities. In a circle, you can work with your abilities in a close-knit, supportive, and friendly environment where your privacy and personal development are honored. This program includes access to 2 development circles a month, opportunities to give and receive intuitive readings, and opportunities to receive generalized feedback and input from a Lightshine Spiritual Academy trained facilitator. The Lightshine Development Circle is open now for a very affordable monthly registration, just $22. If you are ready to open or expand your intuitive talents, to co-create a sacred practice space, and to give and receive intuitive readings with like-hearted seekers, then join now and let's shine together. Find the link to read more and register in the description.